Hey guys, Garage79R, we're in the Yaris, and I just want to do a little update video on the standard racing suspension coilovers on my Yaris. It's been, I don't know, probably almost 6 months since I've installed them, give or take. I have to look it up, doesn't matter. And to be honest, I was having a little bit of a, not really an issue, but just a setup adjustment that I was chasing, I guess. And because when I put snow tires on, it's completely changed the way the car drove, which to be expected, different sidewall and whatnot. On my snow tires, I just run a stock size 185 60/15, and currently they're Sumitomo Ice Edge tires. Well, they're much stiffer than the Oatstews. So initially, straight across, the car rode like garbage. Well, relatively, but it was noticeably stiffer and unpleasant. So, the last month or so, I've just been slowly trying to mess with things when I can think about it and had time for it. I finally just kind of picked a set of pressures. Usually I vary my pressures during the winter. Like if it's not snowing, I actually generally run my pressures higher. There we go, we're coming up on my test bump up here. That mid-corner test bump that I like to use. 45. Great. So normally I vary my pressures and I'll drop them down when like bad weather is expected, and then I would run them back up when I'm just commuting. You know, just little things to try to help with gas mileage. Well, I just stuck a set of pressures because I didn't want to have too many variables. I think I have the fronts at like 32 and the rears at 30, something like that. Just a slight stagger, which is normal for me to use on this car. This drives so good, even on snow tires. And I started playing with damper setting. So I initially did a global, everything down 4 clicks. Okay, got better, but then, yeah, it wasn't great. So I started playing with things around, and I just love the way this car drives. And the rears end up going back to where I previously had them with the yellow tires, which is 14 clicks from full hard. And the fronts, I can't remember, because I've been back and forth on the front so many times. I really don't know where exactly I'm at, but I feel, so, yeah, I originally did 4 clicks down, then I went up, and I think I went down again, and I went up, whatever. I'm right at that, like, part where, like, the curve of the valving is, like, this. So 1 click is a drastic difference, and that's fine. That's great. I'm right on the cusp of getting this right. I want to say I'm 16 clicks from full hard in the front. Don't hold me to it. I haven't back counted and see where I'm at. I'm just kind of like, I found it and I left it. So, but now the car is good. It's right where I want it, you know. And it drives so well, and I'm just really happy with the suspension. It's so good, and I love having the adjustability. And like, here's the cool thing. So on the older Tokiko Blues, when it was like sub 50 degrees, they just rode like bricks, unless you did a lot of driving and they kind of warm up. But like my commute to work, it felt like I put cinder blocks in instead of springs on the car. Like it was just rough. These are like, yeah, you feel they're kind of stiff like the first like mile. It's like once they get a little bit of movement and they're flowing. So I'm pretty sure they're using AMS oil. Don't hold me to it, but whatever oil they're using in the dampers works well, and it's not as temperature sensitive, especially in the cold. So like basically, by the time the car is warmed up, your dampers are warmed up essentially. Versus the Tokiko Blues just rode like bricks. It'd be like this road would be like this, and I'm just sitting here cruising, you know. I mean, I got some, this is not a great road, I'm jiggling a little bit, you know, but it's very acceptable. So I can't wait to get hopefully a set for Floyd. The dampers on Floyd are getting soft, so, and of course eventually I would love to get a competition spec for Earl. speaking of Earl, I've been messing with Earl the last couple of weeks. Been chasing an odd issue, actually 2 odd issues. So I'm still having, or I was having, I haven't tested yet, an issue where it would like cut out. Originally it was 3,800 on the dot every time. Then occasionally it wouldn't do it at all. And then it kind of went to like 4,200, and now it's kind of jumping around a little bit. Sometimes I can get a clean pull, sometimes I get a cutout between 42 and 5,200. It'll vary a little bit. And that's where it's starting to concern me. When it's varying, that means something's kind of screwy. On top of that, just by chance, I noticed the one time I moved my shifter while my computer was hooked up, Tuner Studio, and all the gauges freaked out. And it got to the point where I can just move the shifter and everything freaks out. I'm like, well, that's odd. And, double check that nothing came loose. All my grounds were present and tight, and I have actually kind of redundant grounds. Everything is 100%. I even pulled the harness out and traced everything. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing wrong in the harness. But it's weird that the shifter is causing stuff to move around. So, nothing's hitting the shifter, nothing's on the cables. I mean, all the obvious stuff, I immediately checked and everything checks out. So, what is that about? So, I started putting the harness back in. I haven't finished because I'm busy. So, my next round of stuff to do is to, finish buttoning up the harness. Hopefully, my issues go away. The only other thing left, I'm thinking maybe I could have tickled the computer when I had to hot shot the car one time. When I first got it running with the new motor, the battery was kind of low and I had to jump it, and I noticed something weird happened then. So I have another computer. I actually have 2, if you count the one for Dustin's convertible, but I have another Speedy EO5 fish dog that I bought just to have eventually, either for Floyd or the 4-door, more likely the 4-door. If nothing changes, I'm going to flash the tune onto the new ECU and swap the ECU out and see if that changes it. And I'm not blaming the computer at all. If anything happened to it, it's because of me. So, it just, I guess, luck of the draw, shit happens. So that's what's kind of going on. And I can't wait to get that car straightened out, because the few times it ran good all the way to red line, it ran good, even for low boost. I think right now it's about 8.2 pounds of boost, and that's just where the wastegate is. I don't have the boost controller turned on. I'm trying to make it like a really good default tune for my particular car. I have the bigger injectors in it. It runs so much nicer because I have injector data, so I was able to do the offsets correctly, so it doesn't die as much when like the fans come on and whatever, because I got all the battery offset data correct. So the injectors are a little big. Even if I full send the car on like ethanol, they're still kind of big, but having the data. I have another set of injectors with data, but they're borderline. Like if I wasn't planning to maybe try to, push the power a little bit, I would use those. But it was either, almost not big enough or too big. So I chose the too big and just have the headroom. It still idles well and, drives well. So you just don't want to be making 200 horsepower with, 1,000cc injectors. Even then, they could probably, if you have to have it set right, it'll probably still run right. But usually, you try to stay within the range of the injector. You don't want to go have a huge injector that you just, chopping at the knees just to make it run. So that's what's going on. And hopefully we get some progress. And I'll see you guys on the next one.